Every first Saturday in May, the world stops for 2 minutes. The roses, the mint juleps, the hats. The thunder of hooves down the Churchill Downs stretch. It's called the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, and it has been running every single year since 1875. But the story of that very first Kentucky Derby? Most people have never heard it, and it is one of the greatest underdog stories in American sports history. And I mean that literally, because the horse that won wasn't even supposed to win. The Kentucky Derby was the brainchild of Meriwether Lewis Clark Jr., yes, the grandson of that William Clark of Lewis and Clark fame. In 1872, Clark traveled to Europe and was captivated by England's legendary Epsom Derby. He came home to Kentucky with one mission: build something just like it. He raised money, leased land from his uncles John and Henry Churchill, whose name would eventually stick to the track, and broke ground on a brand new racetrack just outside Louisville. On May 17, 1875, on a bright Monday morning, the gates opened for the very first time. The track was called the Louisville Jockey Club. The name Churchill Downs wouldn't come for another 9 years. About 10,000 spectators packed the grandstand and the infield. Admission costs as little as $1. 15 three-year-old thoroughbreds entered the gate, and what happened next has been almost entirely erased from the history books. The horse everyone expected to win was Chesapeake, one of 2 entries from owner H. Price McGrath. His other horse, a compact chestnut colt named Aristides, had a different job that day. 19-year-old jockey Oliver Lewis was told to ride Aristides hard from the front, use him as a pace setter to exhaust the field, so that Chesapeake could sweep in fresh and take the win. Lewis did his job perfectly. Aristides surged to the front, setting a blistering pace alongside a horse named Volcano, pushing the field into the ground. The crowd roared, the dirt flew. Then something went wrong, for Chesapeake at least. McGrath's prized horse had fallen hopelessly off the pace. He was nowhere. The race was now between Aristides and Volcano. Oliver Lewis, a teenager on a horse that was never meant to win, made a decision. He rode for the wire. Aristides pulled clear of Volcano in the final stretch and crossed the finish line 2 lengths ahead in a time of 2 minutes and 37.75 seconds, a new American record over 1.5 miles. Here is what makes this story even more remarkable. Oliver Lewis was one of 13 African-American jockeys in that 15-horse field. His trainer, Ansel Williamson, was also black. And this was not unusual. It was the norm. In the post-Civil War South, black jockeys and trainers dominated thoroughbred racing. They won 15 of the first 28 Kentucky Derbies. They trained 6 of the first 17 winners. They were the backbone of the sport. But by the early 1900s, as the sport grew wealthier and Jim Crow laws tightened their grip, African-American jockeys were systematically pushed out of racing. By 1921, there were no black jockeys left at the Derby. That absence would last nearly 80 years. Oliver Lewis himself retired after that 1875 season. He became a bookmaker, entirely legal in Kentucky at the time, and developed handicapping systems so sophisticated they've been compared to the modern daily racing form. He died in 1924. His great-granddaughter discovered his Derby legacy only decades later. The first man to ever win the Kentucky Derby spent most of his life completely uncelebrated for it. Today, there is a statue of Aristides at Churchill Downs. A road in Lexington, Kentucky, is named Oliver Lewis Way. And every May, 150,000 people flood into the same track where it all began, wearing extraordinary hats, drinking mint juleps, and watching the latest chapter in a story that started with a 19-year-old jockey on a horse nobody thought would win. The winner's purse that day was $2,150. Today it's $3.1 million. But some things haven't changed. It still comes down to 2 minutes. It still comes down to the heart. And it still comes down to the horse. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe to a new story every week. And if you're heading to Churchill Downs this May, wear a good hat. Aristides would have wanted it that way.